So today I'm excited about this topic. We promised you last week that we would cover this. And I think this is one that I am very passionate about because I think that our culture looks at failure as a bad thing. And it's just like the end. Like you fail and it is like the ultimate end to an end.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's true.
Not
We're
at
about
all.
to go against that.
We are.
Big time.
Yeah. But, we're going to talk about reasons why businesses fail, but we're also going to talk about ways to combat that.
The Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
Can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Kacie Bryant, marketer and event planner,
If you run a business,
or want to run a business.
welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Business Project. Whoop, whoop.
Podcast.
Yeah. We are so excited to have you guys again for another podcast to join us. We are still in our short series. Our short series is just going and going. I think we might just continue it forever because I'm just loving it.
Me too.
You guys loving it? You loving these short, easy 15, 20 minutes, one topic, giving you some takeaways, something to do right away.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's good.
So good. We hit the points hard.
We do.
Make you think.
Yeah, there's no fluff. It's just like, let's get down to business and then move on. Because we
right.
ain't got time for fluff.
We ain't got time for that.
No. So today I'm excited about this topic. We promised you last week that we would cover this. And I think this is one that I am very passionate about because I think that our culture looks at failure as a bad thing. And it's just like the end. Like you fail and it is like the ultimate end to an end.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's true.
Not
We're
at all.
about to go against that.
We are.
Big time.
Yeah. But, we're going to talk about reasons why businesses fail, but we're also going to talk about ways to combat that, right? Because not what you see on social media where everybody's successful traveling the world because they just opened a business and everybody's taking pictures in Rio de Janeiro or the Mediterranean somewhere, enjoying their lifestyle. That's not the case in reality.
It is not. Spending those dollar bills, throwing all the money up in the air right after you start a business, watching all the tickets print out of all the orders that are coming in your first week. Like that is actually not what usually happens.
Nope.
No.
There's a whole process behind that, a whole building process behind that. So we want to take you from falling into that trap, and we're going to list out why people fall into the trap, and then we're going to give you reasons to get out of that trap.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So why do people fall into that trap?
And we're using resources so that we're legit, right? We are using resources here.
I feel like probably 3 or 4 of these you and I could have come up just with the experience of us meeting with businesses.
Oh, yeah.
I think the financial one, and we'll list them out in a second, but the financial one for sure, the marketing one, we name those 2 all the time. Those are 2 really big reasons that businesses fail. Not enough research, not preparing, just jumping in and thinking that you can do it.
I feel like we did a couple podcasts on the whole research piece.
Yeah.
Like hitting that hard because planning in the beginning is so important.
It is.
You gotta know what you're getting yourself into, right?
So as we go through these, if you guys want more information on any of them, go back to our old episodes. We've got tons and tons. I think we're on like 40 something right now.
We're up there.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. I know. Consistency, man.
That's what it's all about.
So if you want to dig deeper into any of these, go back to some of our old episodes and we go into these in a lot more detail.
Yeah. So you ready for the top 5?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Now, write this down because this is the top 5. And
Not if you're driving.
Yeah, don't do it if you're driving. Talk to your Siri or Google to take notes for you. So the top 5 is, number 1 is money running out. Duh. Being in the wrong market. Very true. A lack of research is number 3. Bad partnerships, if you go into business with partnerships, is number 4. And ineffective marketing. Wow. Good stuff.
I wonder if they mean ineffective marketing or lack of marketing. It's
I would
probably
say
both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say both. Because if you don't market, that's ineffective.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
Or if you're marketing to an industry that doesn't care about what you're doing, right? It's ineffective.
Yep.
Right. So yeah. And
Yep.
I like that one. I know you're going to have a lot to say about that one because
Yeah.
that's your world. But let's get into it. The number one, money running out.
Money running out. I mean, we talk about this all the time, how a lot of businesses that are just getting started are underfunded. I mean, that's your world.
Yes.
You're in accounting and
Yes.
financing.
Yes. So, and I help a lot of businesses register, right? So I help in the beginning phase, like the starting line. And I'm sitting down and I have a lot of conversations with people who just come to me and say, hey, I want to start a business. I've got this great idea. I'm ready to go. Can you help me register? My first thing is, what's your budget? And they're like, I don't have a budget.
$50. That's what I got in my account right now. Yeah.
I'm like, do you know how much it costs to register and to register your business properly and get all the registrations and the tax accounts and all that stuff set up? There's a cost to that, and then being able to run your business in the beginning before you start earning any money. Have you thought about that kind of stuff?
Buying inventory,
Yeah.
building a website, getting business cards and good branding and all of that stuff.
All of that takes money.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, the majority, believe it or not, have not even thought about that. Mm-mm. So I'm like, all right, let's pull back, and I will give you the reasons why you should not start a business. Because so if it was somebody else, they'd be like, all right, yeah, let's just go ahead and register your business because they want to get paid,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't work like that. I'm like, look, don't do it. Let's sit down and have a conversation first. As a matter of fact, let me introduce you to a whole bunch of people that can help you, right? Make sure you're putting the right pieces in place first. But that whole lack of funding thing, I see it every day.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but people are emotional more than logic when they feel something that, kind of like gives them that like strong emotional feeling. They'll run with their emotions instead of taking a step back and saying, okay, let me figure out what's the right way to do this first.
In all reality, what is this going to take?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like having a puzzle. This is the first thing that came into my mind, like trying to work a puzzle and all of the pieces are flipped upside down. So you don't see the picture and then you're missing pieces. Like
Right.
There's pieces that are in the other room or still left in the box. And you're like, okay, how am I going to put this puzzle together? That's what it's like trying to start a business without
Exactly.
doing all of these things that we're talking about today.
Exactly. It's a whole lot. And people fall into the trap of watching these social media gurus, our previous video, and thinking that it's so easy to just start a business and start making money. Mm-hmm. It's not.
And this goes when we talked about some stats. Should we go ahead and go into the stats?
Yeah.
This goes into the stats too. 20% of businesses fail within the first 2 years.
In the first 2 years.
And then 80% of businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that equals 100%.
Yeah, it does.
It's not necessarily every business is going to fail in
Yeah.
5 years, but they're looking at 20% of businesses that register. Let's just say every business that registered today, in 2 years, 20% of those businesses would fail. That's a pretty decent number, but there's hope there, right?
Yeah.
So the majority of businesses will make it past 2 years.
That surprises me, actually.
Yeah. And I thought it was higher as well. I think before, maybe several years back, it was the fail rate was higher, but I think a lot of people have a little bit more savings in this time right now because of COVID and all this money that the government was passing out. So people can live off that a little bit longer. But I think that stat will change.
Yeah,
It'll get higher. But so then the first 20% of people that I'm starting a business with today are not going to be here in 2 years. Now, in the 2 year mark, 80% of those people that make it past the 2 year mark won't be here in 5 years.
Right.
That is heartening.
That is. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well-
I can feel and I can sense that that's going to affect a lot of people because the failure we're talking about, right? Failing forward. It's going to affect a lot of people in that, mostly in that 2 to 5 year mark because they've been in it for a while. They have a lot invested into their business by that time. So if the business fails at that point, it will affect them a lot more personally, financially, emotionally.
Because in reality, probably most of those businesses that fail because they've been struggling in the last 5 years, not because they've been successful.
Right.
So it's almost like they just have more endurance than the ones that fail in the first 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the last bit of hope was just, it was just gone in that time.
Yeah. So the first one that we talked about, reason for failure, is lack of funding.
Yes.
And again, the reason I wanted to bring up those stats is because this isn't just with a brand new business. This is with obviously a business that's been around for 5 years too, for 4.5 years, even 4 years. There's probably a lack of funding, honestly, from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And this goes into one of the other things is the failure to prepare.
Yes.
If you're properly preparing for growth of your business, for startup, for growth and beyond, then you should have a budget put together. What does it look like in 5 years? And obviously that's going to change and it needs to be flexible and you need to be able to pivot. But if you don't start somewhere, you're not going to have a target to shoot at.
So true. And when you do that as well, let's say the business is not successful. You've prepared yourself and you've kind of planned for that so that you can react quicker, right? So you're not dragging it along and just hoping that it will change. You're making the moves to put what you got to put into place to make it successful. But if it's not successful, you can move quicker and not be put in a situation that's really going to be detrimental to yourself.
Right.
So in essence, you're failing forward there because you can then, all right, let me stop. Let's stop the business now. Let's implement some possible changes, maybe change up the product or do something. And then we can take what we learned in that process and start over again.
Yeah.
Right. Or move in a different direction. So that plays into the failing forward.
It does. I have a good applicable example of this, and it's not exactly with what we're talking about, but I think you'll get the picture. So we started this is our first digital marketing campaign that we've done. So we're working with a company that does digital marketing. We created some ads. We've been pushing the ads for 2 weeks and we're getting nothing from it. Mm-hmm. And it's not because people aren't clicking on the ads or interested in the ads. So we sat down. So we created this plan, right? We created the ads. We're intentional about the wording. We created this landing page. We're intentional about the landing page. And we have this result that we want to get, but we plan this all out. So our whole team sits down and we have a conference call and we're like, okay, so now let's look at this plan and let's see where the disconnect is. Mm-hmm. And since we have a plan, we can do that. But if we were just willy-nilly creating ads and throwing them out there without any, intentionality behind it, then we wouldn't be able to do that. So we look and we're like, okay, well, these ads are getting people to our website. We're getting visits to our website from the ads, but they're not clicking on the purchase. Mm-hmm. So what is wrong here? So then we go to that page and we look through that page and we're like, okay, I totally get it. It's not connecting with our audience. It's very broad. There's terms that are only specific for our industry that the regular person probably has no idea what we're talking about. But that gives us, so we're completely scrapping everything that we've done. We're completely revamping that landing page. And then we're going to completely revamp our ads to match that. And so if we didn't initially have a plan and a time to, okay, we're going to try this for 2 weeks and see how it goes and then completely reassess and then pivot if it's not working. If it is working, great, let's keep going with it. If it's not working, we don't want to be $4,000 into this and just throw our money out the door. So I think that is a great just snapshot and an easy thing to understand for long term. Also, when you're running a business, it doesn't just work with advertising, it works with everything. So like this is our business plan that we have into place. This is the budget that we have. This is where we want to be in 6 months and in 1 year and in 2 years and in 5 years. And then when you get to 6 months, you can analyze it and be like, okay, this is where we are. Is it working or is it not working? And what do we need to do to pivot to make it successful if it's not? And if you don't have all of that put in place, you're just going to keep going. You're going to be 5 years into it and have no idea why you're successful or not successful. Yeah.
And I love what you said in there was if you didn't have the plan, you'd probably dump an additional $4,000 or $5,000 into that process just because you didn't have something to go by to measure success. Right. So in essence, going back to the first one, money running out without that plan, people are just dumping money into the same thing that's not working because you have nothing to gauge success by. You have no plan to judge what you're doing. So you just
you haven't analyzed your target market. You're marketing on the wrong platforms. Yep. You're doing the wrong things.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's easy to throw away money in marketing.
So it's so easy in business in general, because you have to pay for everything.
Yeah.
There's a fee for everything in business. So if you're spending your money in the wrong things, then yeah, you need to be able to stop that quickly and make the proper adjustments so you're maximizing how your money goes out.
Right. So good. That goes into one of our things too, which is marketing.
Yes.
That was one of the points is
you know what I like?
Ineffective marketing. What?
We're basically hitting every point. and we're basically hitting every point here without letting you know we're hitting every point. Yeah. Right? But you know the list. We read it out to you, the reasons why business fail. So the conversation is touching every single one because they all tie into each other.
They do. Yes, they do.
It all ties into each other. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that the crutch, the foundation is the one that says here, lack of research and lack of research. So the planning piece goes into all of that, because if forward planning, you're not going to have a good marketing strategy, which is one here, being in the wrong market. And I want you to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
And also bad partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
That's another one we got to hit on.
We've experienced that in every single one of our businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, contracts and laying out things from the beginning, that's really, really important. Because when you go, can I go ahead and touch on that? Because that's a passionate one of mine.
I love it. Yeah. Let's go.
When you first start a business, you think that, we're buddies. This is going to be great. Yep. BFF forever. You're passionate. I'm passionate. You're good at bookkeeping. I'm good at marketing. This is a perfect fit. And we're like in Wonderland. Mm-hmm. Well, then 2 years down the road, either when things are going terrible and you're not making enough money, or one of you is putting more into it than the other, or you are doing amazing and then you're like, no, I did 60% of the work, I should get 60% of the money, and you're only doing 40%, and then these arguments come up. So it's really, 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 really important when you're doing any type of partnerships in business that you think what's the worst case scenario at the beginning. Think through all of those. Get people that you can trust, that are experienced in partnerships and what can happen, a lawyer or an accountant, somebody that does coaching with businesses, and make sure that you talk through all of those hard parts, because it is going to happen. I'm telling you, a partnership is going to go sour in one way or another if all of the expectations aren't completely laid down on the table at the beginning.
And in business, it's got to be black and white. There's no gray.
No.
When it comes to partnerships. So if you're dealing with multiple people in an organization, a business, that a group of people got together, 2 or more, to start a business, you got to make sure it's in black and white. That whole contract piece, that whole agreement piece, where you're setting the expectation, detailing what each person's responsibility, the payout, the percentages, all of that stuff has to be detailed, understood, agreed upon, because even with that, you will have problems.
Yeah.
But at least you have something you can fall back on to bring it back, right? To say, well, based on our agreement, this is what it is. And then you can have an out.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was about to interrupt you with, is you need to have an exit strategy.
Yep.
That's another thing, is you think, like, my first business, I wanted to get it tattooed on my arm. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be us forever. Like, this is great. I love it at the beginning. And then 5 years later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so done. I need an exit strategy. Yeah.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with partners, having a solid exit strategy in place. You can say, in a matter, if the business gets to this level, or after this many years, or whatever, here's the opportunity to buy the other partner out, sell the business, whatever, but that should be detailed in your partnership agreement. Definitely black and white. Don't go shake hand. That doesn't work anymore. Not today.
No.
So put it black and white so the expectations are set up front.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we've gone over our minutes. I think we maybe need to go on the failing forward. Where are we at?
We're at 20.
We're at 20.
Yeah.
So y'all, we got into this a lot. We'll go into the next episode will be how to fail forward.
Yeah.
And I know that this was kind of gloomy and we talked about the reasons, but I think if if you don't understand the problems, then you're not going to recognize them.
Agreed.
When you're in the middle of them. So it's good to really understand the potential problems that could happen. But then the next episode, we'll take the gloom, take the frown and turn it upside down. And we'll talk about some ways that you can fail forward.
Yes.
Does that sound good?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I hope you took notes and follow along for the next one because it's going to be some really good continuation of the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Also like us. That's something that's really important. If you like this, please like it, share it with your friends, make a comment. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, they need to hear this too.
Yeah. All right.
Take care.
Bye guys.